Urban renewal is the rehabilitation of city areas by renovating or replacing dilapidated buildings with new housing, public buildings, parks, roadways, or industrial areas. It is often accomplished in accordance with comprehensive plans. Projects like these began to take place in the 1950s and 60s, and it's a great idea in theory. But in truth, the implementation of these innovations didn't follow the comprehensive plans. Too often, whole blocks of towns and districts were torn down in the name of clearing out slums. One such instance of this is in the city of Norwood, Ohio. The city of Norwood, Ohio was founded in the early 19th century. Norwood is a town in southwest Ohio that is entirely surrounded by Cincinnati. But the city has worked hard to maintain its own identity and bring in people from all over. In the early 1900s, Norwood became a bastion of industry. Many people entered the city to work each day. Norwood was home to a playing card factory, a washing machine factory, and a huge General Motors plant, which was the largest provider of jobs in the area. But in the late 50s, Norwood began to see economic downturn, and the big industrial factories began to desert the town. The city government and planners proposed that a revitalization of Norwood's central business district would help strengthen Norwood. They suggested the creation of a retail center called Surrey Square. But to make way for Surrey Square, the central business district had to be declared as blighted. So what does blight really mean? Blight is defined as the rapid and extensive discoloration, wilting, or death of plant tissue, or the state of being dilapidated and decayed. The vague threat of blight on cities has a tradition of being used to activate local governments and citizens. It shows them the necessity of redeveloping their downtown districts, and all too often the powerful private interests are using this language of blight to gain access to land that would otherwise be used by private homeowners. Norwood city planners felt their area was in desperate need of urban renewal. Some of the planners said that the older sections of Norwood on either side of the central business district, for instance, exemplify the overcrowded conditions which in recent times have become undesirable and often turned over to low-income families with a tendency to defer normal maintenance. After it was decided that Norwood's central business district was blighted, the construction for Surrey Square was able to move forward.
When I take you out tonight with me, honey, here's the way it's gonna be. You will sit behind a team of snow-white horses in the slickest gig you ever see. Chicks and ducks and geese better scurry when I take you out in the Surrey. When I take you out in the Surrey with the fringe on top. Watch that fringe and see how it flutters when I drive them high-stepping strutters. Nosy pokes'll peek through the shutters and their eyes'll pop. The wheels are yellow, the upholstery's brown, the dashboard's genuine leather. With eyes and glass curtains you can roll right down in case there's a change.
And after the completion of Surrey Square, Norwood continued to change. The creation of the Norwood Lateral and other freeways changed Norwood into a commuter city with fewer and fewer neighborhoods. 1987 marked the end of industry in Norwood, with the closing of the Chevy factory on August 26th. This day became known as Black Wednesday to residents of Norwood. The city's economy continued to struggle, and it wasn't until the 90s that things began to pick up again. The construction of a new retail center called the Rookwood Commons has been credited with making Norwood a desirable location for visitors once again. With this momentum going for the city, Norwood began to plan another retail center, this time the Rookwood Exchange. In 1999, the city of Norwood declared a neighborhood of 70 homes and businesses as blighted in an attempt to claim eminent domain. Eminent domain is the power of the state to take private property for public use with the payment of compensation to the owner. City planners labeled these 70 homes as a deteriorating area, so they could use eminent domain to get this land. The new project would include office space, hotels and restaurants, health clubs, a parking garage, and a small amount of high-priced apartments. 3 tenants who were living in this deteriorating area refused to give up their property and took the private developers to court. In the first ruling, the court decided the developers were in the right, and eminent domain guaranteed them the opportunity to build what they wanted as long as it was in the public's best interest. But the residents appealed this decision, and in 2006, the Ohio Supreme Court ruled that the Ohio Constitution prohibits the use of eminent domain solely for the purpose of providing an economic benefit to the government and community, and that a deteriorating area was too vague a term because it inherently incorporates speculation as to the future conditions of the property. But sadly, the private developers had already torn down the homes of the residents who had contested this decision. The story of these Norwood residents losing their homes is all too common. Urban renewal has been detrimental to American homeowners because land was often taken from people through the use of blight language and the power of eminent domain. The overuse of this extreme governmental power has led to the displacement of people, communities, and neighborhoods in the name of improvement and innovation. But at what cost are we improving our neighborhoods?